Okay, so K-pop has totally conquered the world, right? But there's this growing critique, a really passionate one that argues in its quest for global domination, it's lost the very soul that made it special in the first place. So, is K-pop actually facing an identity crisis? Let's break down the argument.
I mean, seriously, just take a second and think about it. When was the last time? And that one question, man, it just cuts right to the heart of what so many fans feel is missing from K-pop today. It's all about that raw, unfiltered, unforgettable moment of pure musical magic.
And that's the core tension, isn't it? The genre that used to feel like this wild, audacious, unpredictable life for the party now feels, well, safe, even formulaic. We're going to explore the argument that this isn't just a simple change in style, but a deep, fundamental loss of its creative spirit.
All right, so let's start with the music itself. The argument really begins with the sound. A sound that a lot of people feel has shifted from this signature, glorious chaos to a predictable, almost globalized formula.
This is the big question, the one at the very heart of the critique. You know, the genre that was famous for that chaotic, let's just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks energy, now seems to be pulling from a much smaller, safer, and frankly, more westernized playbook. So let's look at what's changed.
And you can really see this stark contrast here. On one side, you had the sound of audacity. Remember that? The weird, kind of messy, but totally charming chaos of like a sudden dubstep break or these huge theatrical bridges. And on the other side, the sound of algorithms. It's music that's perfectly optimized for the Billboard charts and TikTok. That chaotic sparkle, it seems, has been traded for a polished but ultimately homogenized product.
And this has led to a term the source uses, fast food music. It's a perfect analogy, right? Think about it. These are songs that feel less like a full, satisfying meal and more like, a 15-second hook that's been stretched just long enough to count as a stream. It's quick, it's catchy, and ultimately it leaves you feeling a little bit empty.
And if you're wondering why this is happening, well, here's the engine behind that whole fast food approach. The new sweet spot for a hit song is right around 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So why that specific length? It's simple math, really. Shorter songs lead to more replays, and more replays mean more streams. It's fantastic for the algorithms, but it's a total disaster for musical storytelling. It kills the bridges, the outros, and any real sense of development.
Okay, but this change in the music, it's not happening in a vacuum. It has a huge, direct impact on the performers themselves. We're seeing this major shift away from specialists toward these versatile all-rounders, and it's created a really strange performance paradox.
And this pipeline here, it breaks it down perfectly. First off, the global demand is just insane, which means training periods are getting shorter and shorter. Then, the focus shifts from mastering one specific skill to just being decent at everything. Next, you give these idols incredibly complex choreography that's almost physically impossible to sing live to. And the result of all that? Well, loud backtracks and lip-syncing become the norm, creating a flawless but ultimately soulless performance.
Yeah, and this quote, it just hits the nail on the head. Look, nobody's saying they're not talented. The average skill level is probably higher than ever. Everyone is good. But where are the showstoppers, the powerhouse vocalists, the ones who create those unforgettable, I have to rewind that moments? They seem to be a dying breed.
What it all boils down to is this. The industry is so afraid of a single cracked note, one little moment of human imperfection, that they're stripping away everything that makes live music so thrilling. So instead of that raw, unpredictable energy, we get a polished illusion of perfection, a show that sounds exactly like the studio recording. So where is all this pressure coming from? Well, it's all being driven by the industry engine itself. The critique argues that K-pop has become this oversaturated machine where the music, it isn't even the main product anymore. Just let this quote sink in for a second. K-pop has shifted from being a music industry to being an IP machine. A comeback isn't really about a new album anymore. It's a full-on brand rollout, and the songs, they're basically just the soundtrack for it.
And you can see this so clearly when you look at the concepts.
The industry used to throw everything at the wall. Sci-fi, circus themes, horror, you name it. It was weird and it was memorable. And now, it feels like we're just stuck in a loop with two super safe market-tested options. The edgy girl crush concept or the sweet, youthful, fresh concept. It's making new groups feel almost interchangeable.
So with the actual music taking a bit of a back seat, what fills that space? Well, all of this. Essentially, the idol becomes a walking billboard. Their job isn't just to perform music anymore, it's to sell products, star in content, and be an ambassador for luxury brands. The music becomes just one small piece of a giant marketing puzzle.
Okay, now we gotta talk about the last piece of the puzzle. And honestly, this is the most complex, maybe even the most controversial part of the whole critique. The argument that modern fandom culture itself is partly to blame for this creative downtrend.
Now hold on, because this is a really challenging idea. It's suggesting that the very fans who love K-pop have, maybe without meaning to, pushed the industry towards becoming more sterile and more afraid to take risks. How could that even be possible?
This right here. This lays out the huge paradox at the center of it all. On the one hand, fans say they want raw, authentic live vocals. But on the other hand, the intense scrutiny of social media means every tiny imperfection, a cracked note, an idol looking out of breath, gets clipped, dissected, and blasted as unprofessional. You see the problem? You just can't have both.
So, what's the result of all this? It's what the source calls a parasocial microscope. This constant 24/7 fan scrutiny has gotten so intense that companies are now absolutely terrified. The fear of a boycott hashtag over a tiny issue pushes them to choose the safe, polished, and boring comeback every single time. In an environment like that, being truly authentic, it's just way too big of a risk.
Okay, so let's bring it all together. The core argument, when you boil it all down, is this. K-pop's incredible global success came at a cost. Its most defining features, that raw creativity, the audacious weirdness, the live vocal energy, were traded away for global marketability, polished perfection, and algorithmic safety. And all of that leaves us with one final, really crucial question. In its journey to win over the world, has K-pop traded away its audacity to be different? The genre is really at a crossroads, and it's a question that's worth thinking about long after this is over.